Imagine a Minecraft space mod. You're probably thinking of Galacticraft or Adastra, which has a very similar idea behind it. But what if space actually felt unexplored and new? What if crafting a rocket wasn't just a recipe, but something more difficult? Today, we are diving into one of the most ambitious space experiences ever built for Minecraft. This is Galaxia. Before we start, I'll explain what Galaxia is. Galaxia is the new space mod for GregTech New Horizons, and I'm the project lead behind it. At the start, the idea was pretty simple. We just take the parts of Galacticraft that always felt off and build them properly. Things like the rocket system, the way planets are handled, the way progression is supposed to feel, even the overall scale of the world, all of that has been revoked entirely. This mod is currently in the pre-alpha stage, so don't expect everything to look finalized. There is a lot to be changed and improved. This is the celestial map, the most important part of Galaxia. And right away you can see that it's not just a list of planets sitting next to each other. There are stars, planets, moons, stations, and all of them exist in the same hierarchy. Also, as you can see, the map is not static. The bodies move depending on their orbits, and it is actually used as a mechanic, which I'll explain further. The cool part is that the system is flexible enough to go way beyond the usual celestial body types. The same structure can go deeper and deeper because it is built with the idea to make registration as convenient for developers as possible. That means that you can build things like stars orbiting stars, moons orbiting other moons, gas giants, asteroids, or whatever else the system needs. There are also two ways of looking on the map: the top-down view, where you can see the orbit layout and the shape of the whole system, and the side view, where you can click into a body and see how everything sits inside the hierarchy. Once you understand the map, it becomes very easy to navigate through space. Using the map, you can also see everything you have in space, such as stations, rockets, or payloads. It is also a place where you manage them. Instead of teleporting between planets, like it was in Galacticraft, you can actually see the paths that you are traveling because the star map simulates realistic flight paths. However, this part isn't added visually yet, so it will only be added in future updates. Now let's talk about objects that you can manipulate in the star map. You can already create and remove stations and outposts from the map, but later some more functionality will be added, including visiting space stations in person. The goal of Galaxia is not just to explore planets, the goal is to actually build on them. On other planets you will build outposts that are used to generate and process the resources that will be needed for later progression. In late game that would be a lot of rocket launches. However, when you hit the point where usual rockets are not fast enough, that is where you can use the H.A.M.E.R.
Badman.
H.A.M.E.R is a big railgun for interplanetary logistics that is used to move resources between orbits inside one star system. Its main objective is to reduce the amount of rocket launches for transfers between space stations and also to deliver resources from orbit onto the ground. All other mechanics of Galaxia wouldn't matter much if every planet felt the same, and that is why there is a lot of focus on world generation. Our plan here is to make a completely unique visuals and gameplay for every planet there is, which is somehow similar to how it feels in Factorio Space Age. At the current stage of development, when we have this moon ready, the other planets are used only for testing, but it is already a good example of how detailed the world generation can get. There are basalt oceans with frozen magma, hills and craters, caves like in modern Minecraft, and underground details that make the planet even more unique. A good example of underground details are cinnabar crystals under the moon surface, which are tied into the Blood Moon event, and that is only the first planet. Every time you land somewhere, it feels like a real new place, which naturally leads to exploration. Once you're on a planet, the environment starts pushing back. On the moon, for example, you are dealing with temperature, oxygen and pressure. Your oxygen level and temperature are shown on the HUD. Oxygen runs down until it reaches 10%, where you start feeling weaker, and when it hits 0, you start taking damage. Temperature also makes you weaker when it's too hot or too cold outside. There are also some other hazards, however they are not used yet, so I'll explain them in next videos once they are implemented. The more fun mechanic is zero gravity, which appears in orbit or this asteroid belt dimension. Movement changes completely. Now instead of flying like in creative mode, you float with inertia, which is why you should bring an RCS with you, otherwise controlling your movement becomes a bit of a problem. In zero gravity, even throwing an item or shooting with a bow changes your motion because of the recoil. And now we get to the heart of Galaxia, the rocket system. Now, to assemble the rocket, instead of just crafting it with bare hands in a workbench like it used to be in Galacticraft, here you have to build an entire system for rocket assembly. You start with the module assembler, where the rocket parts are turned into rocket modules. Then, those modules move through the gantry network, which is a cool looking transport line that physically carries them across the base. And the last part of the system is the silo, the assembly and launch facility. The silo is where the rocket gets assembled, where the actual structure is formed and where the final checks happen before launch. After you order all necessary modules for a rocket, they get delivered using gantry. And now the rocket is ready for a flight. And that is Galaxia. This video is just an introduction to all the mechanics of the mod that already exist, because it has a long way to be released. Let me know in the comments if you want me to try different style, for example with more attention to the code part of the mod, or to go deeper into any of these systems in a future video, because there is a lot more than what I've said. The mod is actively being developed and I will keep you updated. So if you like the idea of the mod, subscribe to the channel for updates, because this is only the beginning of the journey. Thanks for watching. Bye.